Today, the Israeli Prime Minister has made a big admission. A day after facing massive international censure over Sunday's Rafah strike, Netanyahu has taken accountability, it seems. Delivering a speech in parliament, Netanyahu admitted that the strike went tragically wrong.
In
Rafah, we already evacuated about 1 million non-combatant residents, and despite our utmost effort not to harm non-combatants, something unfortunately went tragically wrong. We are investigating the incident and will reach conclusions because this is our policy.
Amid shouting from opposition lawmakers, Netanyahu assured that the matter will be probed. But while he regretted the strike that killed scores of Palestinians, Netanyahu vowed to continue the war in Gaza. Given Netanyahu's continued recklessness with Palestinian lives and brazen defiance of international censure, what compelled him to apologize for the Rafah strike is the question. Is this a sign that Netanyahu is finally coming to terms with Israel's global isolation? You see, Israel has launched an investigation after at least 45 Palestinian refugees were killed in Sunday's IDF strike on Rafah. 45. According to reports, shrapnel from the strike ignited a fuel tank 100 meters away from the intended target, creating a large fire at a camp that was housing displaced Palestinians. The IDF previously said the strike in the Tel al-Sultan area had killed 2 senior Hamas operatives. It included the commander of Hamas's West Bank headquarters. As condemnation continued to pour in from the international community, the Israeli military said it was reviewing and investigating the strikes. The deaths of 2 Hamas operatives resulted in the loss of 45 Palestinian lives, which is hardly justifiable or acceptable. Now, even after Netanyahu expressed regret and the IDF's actions in Rafah attracted widespread condemnation, Israeli tanks continued to roll into Rafah. Today, Israeli tanks reached the center of the southern Gaza city, where the IDF continued its operation. The Israeli operation persists despite the International Court of Justice ordering Israel on Friday to stop its activities in Rafah. And this raises questions about the sincerity of Netanyahu's regret. Is it genuine, or is it the result of international pressure finally getting to him? I ask that because following the Sunday Rafah strike, an Egyptian soldier was killed in an incident involving Egyptian and Israeli troops near the Rafah border area. Now, both the Egyptian and the Israeli militaries are conducting investigations. While Israeli media says that there was an exchange of fire, few details are actually available and there are no reports of Israeli casualties. You see, tensions between Egypt and Israel have escalated since the Israeli forces took control of the Gazan side of the Rafah crossing point 3 weeks ago. Egypt strongly supports Palestinians and has in fact frequently condemned Israel's military campaign in Gaza. But Egypt was also the first Arab country to sign a peace deal with Israel 45 years ago. Despite maintaining the peace deal, relations between the two sides have often been tense. Nevertheless, deadly incidents between Egyptian and Israeli troops are rare. The question is, did the attack on Rafah on Sunday extend into Egyptian territory? Could the change of heart, as far as Netanyahu is concerned, be because of this? Because that would be a massive miscalculation on Israel's side. You see, the Netanyahu government is already facing immense criticism globally. International organizations have lined up to condemn Israel's Rafah strike. The EU has urged Israel to respect the ICJ ruling and halt the strikes on Rafah. Today, Israel's closest ally, the United States President Joe Biden, also urged Israel to take every precaution to protect civilians. Israel knows that the eyes of the world are on it. It is under enormous pressure to explain its actions. It says the operation was based on intelligence. And it seems both Hamas figures were killed. However, The presence of huge numbers of civilians and a significant quantity of flammable material raises a lot of questions about how this incident was even planned and executed by Israel on Sunday. While the IDF denies deliberately targeting civilians, it has in the past acknowledged lapses in its targeting process, including an attack on an aid convoy last month that left over 100 hungry Palestinians and 7 foreign nationals dead. The incident has added to international pressure on Israel. Calls for a comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza, or to at least for Israel to scale down operations, has increased. Despite everything, Israel has vowed to continue with the Rafah invasion. Israeli officials, in fact, saying that the ICJ ruling had left room for the attack to comply with international law, but technicalities don't justify the deaths of innocent Palestinians. Remember, more than 36,000 Palestinians have lost their lives in more than 7 months of the Gaza war. The longer the conflict drags on, the more Palestinian lives are at risk. It will also become increasingly challenging for the US and the mediators to resolve the issue and end the war. Will the mounting international pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu finally compel a genuine interest in conclusively resolving the conflict? We'll just have to wait and watch. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.